Good evening, everyone. Tonight, we're going to unspool a story that begins with fluorescent lights, a plastic water cup, and the soft shuffle of non-slip socks down a quiet hallway. Picture a tray table, a folded blanket, and me, Eleanor, Ellie, Morgan, wondering what exactly a person is supposed to do with the rest of her life when the calendar has more doctor's appointments than dinner plans. This is a story about a knock on the door that didn't bring pills or pudding, but a key, a real one. Here's a bold little truth to roll around your tongue. You might not survive if you let other people narrate your life for you, especially the people who call their control care. So before you get too comfortable, take a moment to like this video and subscribe, but only if you truly enjoy what I do here. And in the comments, tell me where you're listening from and what time it is. I love seeing how far the night travels to reach us. Now turn off the lights, maybe let a fan hum in the background, and let's begin our journey together tonight. The morning started like every Maple Ridge Care morning. Oatmeal, pretending to be a personality, Rita Gomez taping a cheery quote to my door, and a calendar square that looked suspiciously like all the others. At 10 sharp, a man in a navy suit appeared, carrying the kind of leather briefcase that says, "I alphabetized my sleep." He introduced himself as Samuel Price, attorney at law, which is a title that can mean either trouble or treasure. His handshake suggested both. "Ms. Morgan," he said, taking the visitor chair like it owed him rent. "I represent your late brother's estate." My breath stumbled. "Henry?" I asked, as if there might be another brother hiding in the coat closet. He nodded. "Henry Morgan left you certain properties and assets. He also left a letter." He slid a heavy envelope across the tray table. My name in Henry's cramped engineer handwriting looked like a bridge built from nostalgia and regret. I didn't open it yet. Women of my generation know that letters can rearrange furniture, and I hadn't secured the teacups. Rita poked her head in, eyes bright. "Do you need me to stay, Ellie?" "I can manage," I said, and she gave me the look you give someone who just remembered how to drive. Samuel cleared his throat. "With your permission, I'll summarize. Your brother owned Seven Willows Ranch in Yellowstone County, Montana, productive acreage, cattle, water rights. There is also a portfolio, conservative, healthy, that funds ongoing operations and your life." "How healthy?" I asked, because if a woman has earned anything at 72, it's the right to ask direct questions. He named a number that made my tray table look flimsy. I did not faint. I did, however, take a sip of water as if hydration were a strategy. Odd fact of the day: the word ranch comes from the Spanish rancho, a small rural community or group. I had spent 2 years in a nursing home that specialized in groups. The difference, I suspected, was whether the gate swung in or out. As if conjured by the scent of money through linoleum, my daughter Brooke appeared in the doorway, husband Tyler attached like an accessory. "Mom," she beamed, that shine she saves for public places. "We came as soon as we heard," which was impressive, given that I had heard exactly 2 minutes ago. Samuel stood, introduced himself, and resumed being a wall with paperwork. Brooke slid into the second chair. Tyler took the corner like security on a reality show. "We've been so worried," Brooke said, turning to Samuel. "Mom needs structure, routine, someone to handle the phone calls and the decisions. She gets overwhelmed." "Do I?" I asked. Brooke patted my hand. I resisted the urge to use it. "It's not your fault, Mom. Aging is confusing." Elder wisdom of the day. Aging is not confusing. Other people's expectations of your aging are. Samuel, to his credit, kept his tone colorless. "Miss Morgan is fully competent. The bequests are to her, not to any guardian." "Bequests?" Tyler perked up like a meerkat. "Plural?" Samuel ignored him, which I filed under reasons I might send this man a cookie. "There is a ranch, there is a trust, there is also a personal note." He tapped the envelope gently as if not to scare it. Brooke's smile contracted. "A ranch?" She pivoted to me. "Montana, Mom, that's ridiculous. You can't manage a ranch. Maybe it can manage me, I said lightly. Someone should. Academic phrase of the day. Locus of control. Who, according to your story, gets to hold the steering wheel? I had been a passenger long enough to memorize the ceiling stains. Samuel outlined the basics. Seven Willows came with on-site managers, Caleb and Nora Dawson, staff housing, clean books, and a trust that paid property taxes and everyday expenses. Henry anticipated interference, Samuel added, eyes flicking almost imperceptibly toward the Brooke-Tyler duet. He structured it accordingly. What does that mean? Tyler asked. It means, Samuel said, no one can sell the ranch or redirect its income without Miss Morgan's signature and mine, and even then, only under a limited set of conditions. It also means Miss Morgan can live where she pleases, including at the ranch. Brooke leaned forward, voice dropping into the cadence of professional concern. Mom, let's be practical. The last time you tried to order a pair of shoes online, you bought 3 magazine subscriptions and a bird feeder. That bird feeder, I said, brought me an entire opera of sparrows. She's being whimsical, Brooke explained to the attorney as if translating. That's charming, but finances aren't birds. 3 jokes to keep the room breathable. If Whimsy paid rent, Maple Ridge would owe me back months. If concern were cardio, Brooke would have a marathon medal collection. If walls could roll their eyes, mine would have done it in cursive. Mom, Brooke continued, we'll take the papers. You rest. Tyler will coordinate with the lawyer. We'll set up a monthly allowance so you don't have to worry. Samuel smiled politely, the way veterinarians smile at people who diagnose their cats with the internet. No one is setting allowances for Miss Morgan. She will review every document directly with me. And if she gets confused? Brooke pressed. Samuel glanced at me. Miss Morgan, would you like to tell your daughter whether you feel confused? I opened Henry's letter. His words were efficient, like the man. Ellie, if you're reading this, it means I finally did something right by writing it down. The ranch is yours, because you are the only one who would have loved the place for itself and not for what it could be turned into. I left you guardians, but not the kind who take your keys. Caleb and Nora will meet you at the gate anytime you're ready. Live there, or don't. But let the land remind you you're still good at things. I folded the letter and set it on the tray table, palm covering it like a pledge. I'm not confused, I told Brooke. I'm invited. Tyler tried on a laugh that didn't fit. Montana is far. Winters are real. You'll hate it. Winters, I said, have been real in this room for a while. Rita reappeared with a fresh pitcher of water because Rita has the instincts of a stage manager. She clocked the tension, refilled the cups, and declared, hydration is dignity, which, while not strictly accurate, is the kind of sentence that makes people pause long enough to remember their manners. Samuel slid a slim binder from his case. Next steps. We'll verify Miss Morgan's identification, schedule a call with the ranch managers, and arrange a brief visit if desired. The trust covers travel. I will also order copies of Henry's asset registry. Miss Morgan, do you wish your daughter and son-in-law on these calls? I looked at Brooke, at Tyler, at the walls that had listened to my small life faithfully, and now wanted to hear a larger one. Not today, I said. Today, I'd like to hear my own thoughts. They've been whispering for years. Brooke's smile hardened. We'll talk later, Mom. We will, I said, on a day when later means respect. They left in a huff that smelled faintly of citrus cleaner and urgency. Samuel remained, steady as furniture. He pointed to the calendar. Thursday, 3 p.m., video call with Caleb and Nora Dawson. I'll be here to facilitate. We'll take this one page at a time. One gate at a time, I corrected. I looked down at Henry's letter again and felt a small hinge loosen in my chest. The door it belonged to swung inward and outward at once. Elder wisdom. Second pour. The next chapter seldom knocks loudly. It slides an envelope across a tray table and waits to see whether you still remember how to open things. Samuel came back after lunch with numbers that looked like they'd been ironed. He set a single page on my tray table, columns neat enough to calm a nervous heart. Conservative estimate, he said. Ranch equity, cash equivalents, and a ladder of municipals Henry adored more than most people. Roughly 8.2 million across the trust and personal accounts, excluding rolling cattle inventory. 8 million and change. Maple Ridge's fluorescent lights suddenly felt like they were trying too hard. I folded my hands to keep them from flying away. I have lived a great many days with bills that arrived before hope. Today, hope was early and brought lunch. Odd fact of the day, the word acre originally meant the amount of land a pair of oxen could plow in a day. My life had felt like that. Me and some invisible ox, pushing a furrow from morning to dark. The idea that the furrow might end in green instead of more dirt made my eyes sting. Samuel pointed to the bottom line. The trust pays taxes, staff, and your comfort. You can remain here, move to the ranch, or split time. No one, not even me, can redirect funds without your informed consent. Informed consent? I repeated, liking the weight of it. We should embroider that on the Maple Ridge towels. His smile was the kind lawyers wear when they approve of your verbs. I'll also introduce you to a financial advisor, Lauren Cho, to translate this page into groceries, travel, and realities. Rita stuck her head in with her usual weather report. I hear there's a Montana in the room, she said, topping my water. Hydration is still dignity, even for ranch owners. After Samuel left, I opened Henry's letter again. The paper had that old-fashioned crispness that tells you someone chose it on purpose. Let the land remind you you're still good at things. Henry always did talk like a blueprint. I had been good at things. At raising Brooke from a small question mark to a woman with a clipboard, at showing up for unglamorous jobs, at making soup from not enough, but it had been years since the world asked for my competence instead of my compliance. My phone buzzed. Brooke. I considered pretending I was napping, then remembered I was 72 and done pretending. Hi, honey. Her voice was a radio broadcast at full wattage. Mom, I talked to Tyler and we think the best plan is we take custody of the financial stuff so you can enjoy yourself. I've already printed a durable power of attorney. It's standard. Standard like a hospital gown, I said. Open in the back. She exhaled theatrically. Can you not joke right now? This is serious. It is, I agreed. Which is why I'm the one signing my name on things, not you on my behalf. Academic phrase of the day. Principal agent problem. When the person you hire to act for you starts acting for themselves. Families can become firms without meaning to. Then they forget who owns the company. Mom, she tried again, you get overwhelmed. Remember the bird feeder fiasco? I remember the Opera of Sparrows, I said. You tried to cancel them because they were too loud. The birds and I disagreed. Silence. I could hear Tyler in the background supplying lines, the way men do when they're very sure they're right and very unsure of the room. Brooke returned with the soft voice technique. We just want to protect you. There are scammers, taxes, decisions. I have a lawyer, a trust, and a brain, I said. Also, I'm interviewing a financial advisor named Lauren, who is not married to you. You don't have to be cruel. Honest isn't cruel, I said gently. It just doesn't tiptoe. She pivoted, nimble as ever. At least let us set up a monthly stipend so you don't overspend. Mom, this is for your sake. Elder wisdom of the day. Whenever someone says, for your sake, check their pockets for receipts. Here's a compromise, I said. You can see me. You can call me. You cannot manage me. I'll send you pictures of calves in snow and the soup I burn on purpose. She huffed. You'll hate winter. I'll buy a coat, I said. And a shovel. And a neighbor. 3 jokes to keep my lungs useful. If concern burned calories, Brooke would be back in her prom dress. If for your sake were a credit card, it would have a predatory APR. If POA forms came with perfumes, today's would be eau de control. You're being stubborn, she said finally. I'm practicing, I corrected, for the ranch. When we hung up, I lay back and listened to Maple Ridge's afternoon choir, cartwheels, television sermons, the muted gossip of slippers on vinyl. The room hadn't changed. I had. Anchors shift quietly. Samuel called with logistics. Lauren can meet on Zoom at 2, he said. And Caleb and Nora can conference in for 5 minutes to say hello if you like. I like, I said, and combed my hair with the seriousness of a job interview. Lauren Cho appeared on my tablet precisely at 2, hair in a neat bob, voice calm in the way bridges are calm. She didn't talk down to me or up at the numbers. She just arranged things into sentences. We'll treat your cash like hot coffee, she said. Don't spill, don't hoard, sip. I can sip, I said. We'll also set a small go forth account, she added, so you can spend without asking anyone's permission. Permission is corrosive if applied daily. I liked her immediately. Lauren, will you be my translator? Gladly, she said. I work for you. Caleb and Nora popped in next from Seven Willows, framed by a ranch office that boasted a map, a coffee maker, and the sturdy chaos of people who actually do things. Caleb's voice had the gravel of mornings in it. Miss Morgan, gates work better when they swing, he said, which I took as poetry. Nora smiled like a woman who remembers everyone's birthday and how they take their eggs. We have the east pasture set for wildflowers, she said. If you like color. I do, I said, surprising myself at the speed. Your place is ready whenever you want it, Caleb added. We kept Henry's books clean. He was particular. I know, I said. He was my brother. He lined up his soup cans like recruits. When the call ended, I caught my reflection in the black tablet screen. Same hair that refuses to obey. Same face the mirror has been honest about for years. But the eyes looked like they'd remembered a password. Brooke texted again. Dinner tomorrow? Bring Samuel so we can sign what's needed. There was a winking emoji, which is the emoji of people who want you to forget punctuation has meaning. Tomorrow won't work, I typed. I have a video call with wildflowers. I let the sentence sit there, unashamed. Then I added, lunch the day after, public place. Short, just catch up. In the trade, that's called setting a boundary that wears a smile. She replied with a thumbs up that felt like a threat and a heart that felt like a weapon. I pulled the blanket up and let Maple Ridge's HVAC narrate the afternoon. My brain offered an unhelpful slideshow. Brooke at 8, missing her front teeth. Brooke at 16, gasket blown over prom curfews. Brooke at 34, calling me mama when she needed a bailout. Love makes archives. Boundaries curate them. Academic encore. Status quo bias. We prefer the present mess to the unknown order because at least we know where the sharp edges are. Today, I preferred the unknown. That felt new. Before dinner, Samuel dropped by with a thin folder. Just preliminaries, he said. Copies of your ID, the trust abstract, your travel authorization for a short ranch visit. We'll go slow, we'll go steady. Like a good horse, I said. He chuckled. Exactly. Samuel, I asked, do you believe people can learn a new way to be old? He didn't answer fast, which is why I trusted the answer when it arrived. I believe people can learn a new way to be themselves. Age is just the label on the folder. After he left, I wrote 3 lines on a lime green sticky note and stuck it to Henry's letter. No signatures without reading twice. No meetings without a friend. No more letting anyone narrate me. I turned off the lamp and listened for fear. It knocked, politely, then wandered off when I didn't get up. I slept with my hand on the key Samuel had left, the metal cooling against my palm like a promise that didn't need witnesses. The cafe Brooke picked was all succulence and reclaimed wood, the kind of place where the espresso machine exhales like a yoga instructor. I arrived 5 minutes early to practice breathing and to pick a table that faced an exit. Not because I planned to bolt, because exits make conversations kinder. Brooke swept in with sunshine volume and both grandkids in tow, Evan in a soccer jersey, Lily wearing glitter that had unionized and gone everywhere. Tyler followed, carrying a tote with corners suspiciously document-shaped. Surprise! Brooke sang, like this was a party and not a strategy. She kissed the tops of both kids' heads and then mine, quick, as if affection were a stamp you apply at check-in. I hugged Evan and Lily properly. "You two smell like new pencils," I said, which made Lily beam and Evan roll his eyes in preteen. We ordered hot chocolate with extra marshmallows for the kids, a small latte for me. I said whole milk loudly, so no one could later claim I'd asked for the moon. And a cold brew for Brooke because edge is her favorite condiment. Odd fact of the day. Cafes often pipe in a gentle brown noise to make conversations feel private. It's also perfect for people who intend to perform privacy in public. The hum wrapped our table like a stage curtain. Brooke slid into her seat and set her smile to broadcast. "Okay, Mom," she began brightly, adjusting Lily's bow. "We're excited for you to have fun money." She patted the tote. "I made a simple monthly budget and a little card we can load for your purchases. That way you never have to worry about mistakes." "Like buying bird feeders?" I asked, because the sparrows wrote me a thank you note. Tyler chimed in, tone polished. "This is just to reduce cognitive load." Elder wisdom of the day. Older brains are often better at emotional regulation and pattern recognition. We just decline to regulate people who mistake us for patterns. I sipped my latte, the foam sighing at me like we were in on a joke together. "I appreciate the thought," I said. "I'll keep my accounts. The big, boring adult ones that already exist. You keep your tote." "Yep." Brooke glanced around, making sure the audience, 2 laptops and a stroller, was paying attention. "Mom," she said, volume lowered to concerned daughter. "Remember when you got confused by online checkout?" "I remember a pop-up ad that thought I needed a cruise," I said. It was wrong. She slid a page from the tote, crisp with bullet points. "We want to protect you. You're vulnerable. Maple Ridge has routines you struggle without." There it was, the opening move. Academic phrase of the day. DARVO. Deny, attack, and reverse victim and offender. Watch it and you'll see it everywhere, even under latte art. I smiled for the kids and took out my phone. "Evan, Lily, look." I opened my notes app where I keep the least glamorous list in America. Bills paid, next bills, calls scheduled, dates, amounts, check marks, not a missed one in months. "Grown-up video game," I told them. "You win groceries." Evan actually looked impressed. Lily asked if the check marks could be purple next time. "Yes," I said. "Purple is the color of triumph." Brooke pivoted, as nimble as a dancer changing shoes. "Of course you can handle small things, Mom. We're talking about ranches, taxes, scammers, 6-figure decisions. It's stressful for you." "It's work," I said, "and I'm allowed to work at things again." Tyler set down 2 more papers, the unmistakable sheen of a pre-printed POA and a monthly stipend set up. "No pressure," he lied. "We could just knock this out for peace of mind." "Whose mind?" I asked. Lily tugged my sleeve. "Are there baby cows, Nana?" "There are calves," I said, grateful for the wordless rescue. "And wildflowers. We'll take pictures for your science project." Brooke's smile thinned. "We're not anti-ranch, Mom. We just think it's safer if we handle the big stuff and you focus on enjoyment." "I enjoy decisions," I said. "They taste like cinnamon if you let them." Our drinks arrived with a clatter of saucers, the cafe's way of saying, "This is the beat where something happens." Brooke leaned toward the barista with a stage whisper. "Would you mind keeping an eye on my mom? She gets overwhelmed." The barista, nose ring, kind eyes, looked at me, then at Brooke, then back at me. "We keep an eye on the steam wand," she said. "People handle themselves." 3 jokes to keep my lungs useful. If secondhand embarrassment were cardio, I just did a Peloton class. If for your sake had a flavor, it'd be unsalted oatmeal. If tote bags came with honesty labels, hers would read contents agenda. I turned the POA around and slid it back to Tyler with 2 fingers, gentle as a librarian. "No," I said. "No to stipends, No to guardianship cosplay. No to narrating me in front of my grandchildren.
Brooke flushed. I'm trying to help. You're making a scene.
I'm making a boundary, I said. Scenes are louder. Tyler jumped tracks. At least let us talk to this lawyer. What's his name, Price? We'll get the lay of the land.
You'll get whatever I tell you to get, I said quietly. Because I'm the landowner, not the land.
Evan, who has inherited a precise mind, asked, Does owning a ranch mean you own the cows? Some of them, I said. Mostly it means you own the responsibilities. Fences, water, people, choices. He nodded like a boy who might one day make good ones.
Brooke tried a softer attack. Mom, remember when you forgot your pills last spring?
Yes, I said. Because you moved the pillbox while you were reorganizing my kitchen. I kept my voice at honey temperature. You don't get to stage confusion and then call it evidence. Her eyes flashed surprise. Cognition meeting consequence. She recovered. I just want you safe. Then speak about me as if I'm in the room even when I'm not, I said. That keeps people safest. The barista reappeared with 2 extra marshmallows for Lily, who solemnly distributed one to Evan and one to me like a tiny diplomat. For bravery, she intoned. Dare I say, best governance we'd had all morning. I made space for one last try. Brooke, you can walk with me to the gate. You cannot hold the keys. If you want to share soup on Sundays, good. If you want my money on Mondays, no. She stared at me for the length of a whole song. Then she pushed back her chair. Kids, we're leaving. She kissed their heads again, tighter. To me, I hope Montana knows what it's getting.
Me too, I said. I plan to ask it.
Evan hovered. Can we still come visit? Only if you help name a calf, I said. Rules are rules.
Lily whispered, purple? Obviously, I whispered back.
They left in a breeze that smelled like expensive shampoo and control, cooling on the sidewalk. Tyler tossed a last line over his shoulder. We'll talk after you've had some time to think. I just did, I said, but the door had already practiced closing behind them. I sat with the emptiness they left and the warmth the kids had offered, and I let both stay. Calm isn't compliance. Calm is choosing which voice in your head gets the microphone. Mine sounded like wind over grass. I texted Samuel. Lunch ambush averted. Public concern deployed. Darvo attempted. Stipend/POA declined. Children innocent. Marshmallows effective. He replied with a single thumbs up and the words, Good fences. See you Thursday. When I stood, the room swayed a little. Not from age, but from gravity. Decisions have mass. I carried mine to the counter, paid for everything, including the glitter tax, and left a tip labeled, Thank you for not narrating me. The barista smiled like people do when they witness something become its correct size. Outside, the air had that Texas in winter optimism, crisp but already remembering spring. I walked slowly, the way you do when you want your bones to memorize the route to a new life. The brown noise faded behind me. Real wind took over. Samuel arrived the next afternoon with something that didn't look like a briefcase so much as a suitcase for paper. He set it on my Maple Ridge tray table, and the room instantly smelled like old ink and brass file tabs, the perfume of people who keep receipts. Your brother left a dossier, he said, fingertips resting on the lid as if steadying a heartbeat. He wanted you to have context, not suspicion. Context I can eat with a spoon, I said. Suspicion gives me heartburn. He clicked the latches. Inside, manila folders, a spiral notebook with Henry's all-caps print, a flash drive in a labeled envelope, and, because of course he would, an index, cross-referenced, page-numbered, unassailable. Odd fact of the day. Manila folders are named for the abaca fiber from Manila hemp. Paper that remembers sailors, paper that outlives storms. Samuel handed me the first folder, County Recorder, Attempted Deed Transfer. 3 years ago, he said, someone submitted a quitclaim deed for your old bungalow, the one you sold before Maple Ridge, purporting to transfer remaining interests to your daughter. The clerk flagged it for mismatch and missing documentary stamps. It went nowhere. But Henry saved the correspondence. I read the clerk's notes, the polite firmness of bureaucracy doing its quiet job. My throat tightened the way it does when you find the rock your foot could have found first.
He never told me, I said. He said you had enough to carry, Samuel answered. He wanted to carry this.
Folder 2, bank, attempted withdrawal. A form with my name misspelled the same way Brooke used to do in grade school when she wrote fast, then a red stamp. Signature does not match specimen. A memo from a branch manager, initials KF, describing a young woman insisting, "My mother asked me to pick up her cash," followed by a notation that the woman left, annoyed, when asked to call the number on file so the bank could confirm. Elder wisdom of the day. People who love you will hand you water with 2 hands. People who love your wallet will ask for a straw.
Your brother also hired a licensed investigator, Derek Shaw, Samuel said, passing the spiral notebook. Henry's handwriting marched across the page. Dates, phone calls, walls, what he observed when he visited Maple Ridge, while I napped in plain sight. Next to March 18, Brooke rearranged pillbox again, spoke to nurse. Nurse confirmed meds administered exactly as charted. Pillbox move produced confusion. Note: pattern? I pressed the heel of my hand to the place between my eyes where headaches set up camp.
Henry wasn't a suspicious man, I said, voice steady because I needed it to be. He was an accurate man. Samuel nodded, which is why he recorded calls, legally, when he was a party to them. May I play one?
He set his phone between us and tapped the file labeled vendor. I'm Ellie. A woman's voice, my daughter's, spoke to a utility provider, pitching her tone higher. Hi, this is Eleanor Morgan. I need to change my mailing address to my daughter's so she can help with bills. The agent asked for the callback number on file. Brooke gave hers. The agent said, pleasantly relentless, I need the one ending in 42. Brooke stumbled. Oh, I'm at work. Don't have it. The agent suggested a call back. The line clicked dead. I swallowed. That was the year my hospital bills were still coming to the wrong place, I said softly. I thought the post office was the culprit. Some of it was sloppy mail, Samuel said. Some of it was choreography. He handed me another folder. APS, anonymous call, unfounded. Adult Protective Services had received an anonymous report claiming increasing confusion and wandering. A social worker did a well check, documented my orientation to time and place, the neatly labeled kitchen, Brooke's least favorite feature of mine, and closed the case unfounded. A sticky note in Henry's hand, wandering equals Tuesday trash again, 3 jokes scribbled in my mind to keep the air from thickening. If anonymous hotlines gave frequent flyer miles, rumor would be platinum. If I'm Ellie were a password, I'd change it to nice try. If bureaucracy were a superhero, its cape would say, please hold. I reached for Henry's letter in my bedside drawer just to feel the paper. The sentence I kept touching, let the land remind you you're still good at things, felt less like poetry and more like instructions on how to breathe. Why show me this now? I asked. Because information without tools is just weight, Samuel said. And Henry did not leave you weight. He left you a structure. He slid a slim binder labeled Trust Abstract. There's a spendthrift clause. Creditors of others can't grab your distributions. There's a no contest clause. Any beneficiary who challenges without cause loses their slice. I am co-trustee with you for specific actions. You can fire me and hire another corporate trustee at any time. There's also a trust protector, not me, who can adjust provisions if laws change. He turned a page. Pour over will, so any stray assets fall into the trust. Healthcare directive, naming Dr. Maya Patel as the physician to consult about capacity if anyone tries to question it. And a letter of wishes. Henry's plain English hopes, which are not binding law but carry the moral weight of a man who read the fine print.
He handed me the letter of wishes. Ellie, don't let anyone sell 7 willows except for reasons you would be proud to say out loud. The land does best when it belongs to someone who listens to it. If Brooke wants to visit, let her. If she wants to manage, hand her a rake and see if she can name 5 grasses. The laugh burst out of me without permission. Samuel smiled. He had a way. He had several, I said, dabbing my eyes, mostly involving labeling things. Academic phrase of the day, moral hazard, when people take risks because they don't bear the cost. In families, it looks like plans that spend other people's dignity. Samuel set the flash drive on the tray table. Digital copies of everything. I'll also set you up with a read-only portal Lauren maintains. Your daughter can't access it unless you say so. You can share single documents if you wish. Privacy at the page level. Like handing someone a cup of water instead of the whole well, I said. Exactly. He hesitated. One more piece. He unfolded a single page, Henry's handwriting slanting toward urgency. If I'm wrong, forgive me. If I'm right, forgive her. But don't make forgiveness a mortgage. Pay it in cash, small bills, when it's due. I pressed the paper flat, palm warm against the indentations of a pen that no longer exists. Grief is a practical thing when it wants to be. It pays attention. Rita knocked and peeked in, took one look at the open box and said, "Hydration is still dignity, and so is snacks," then returned with ginger cookies someone's church had donated. I broke one in half and handed Samuel the bigger piece because he had just rearranged the furniture in my head and deserved carbohydrates. "What happens next?" I asked. "You choose," he said simply. "If you want, we schedule a short trip to 7 Willows. See it with your own eyes. Meet Caleb and Nora. Walk the fences. Smell whatever Montana smells like in spring. Come back and decide. What if Brooke files for guardianship?" I asked, naming the shadow so it couldn't touch me by surprise in the dark. "Then we meet it with evaluations and structure," he said. "I'll arrange a capacity assessment with Dr. Patel for your file. Not because you need to prove anything to me, but because paper is a better witness than memory when courtrooms ask questions." Paper. Gates. Wildflowers. The map in my head started drawing itself. 3 more jokes to keep my ribs from becoming a cage. If Henry had labeled clouds, they would have lined up politely over the ranch. If spendthrift clauses came as refrigerator magnets, mine would say, "Not your money." If forgiveness had a payment plan, Henry just set the APR to humane. I closed the box. "I'll go," I said, "not to escape anything, to see if the land remembers my name." Samuel's face softened the way men's faces do when something slots into the place labeled right. "I'll book flights. 2 nights. Simple. We'll keep this quiet. You deserve to meet your future without a chorus." When he left, I pulled the tray table closer, opened a fresh notebook, lime green cover, lined pages, and began a timeline in my own handwriting. Dates, names, who said what in which tone. Not for court, for me. A place where I narrate myself. Outside, Maple Ridge conducted its afternoon orchestra. Carts, televisions, familiar laughter down the hall. Inside, I placed Henry's letter under my pillow, like a child with a tooth that she hopes might still turn into silver. Before sleep, I whispered thanks to a man who had the good sense to love me with file tabs. I dreamed of grass naming me back. The morning after the dossier, Maple Ridge felt like a set I'd already wrapped. Same fluorescent sky, same oatmeal, auditioning for a role it wouldn't get. I propped a fresh notebook on the tray table and gave my pen a job. My timeline, my voice. Dates, names, what the room smelled like. Who stood, who sat, who whispered, "For your sake," and when. If anyone ever asked how I got from here to there, I wanted more than feelings. I wanted coordinates. Elder wisdom of the day. Memory tells good stories under soft lighting, but paper keeps the lights bright.
I started with the attempted deed transfer, mismatched stamp, clerk's initials, the exact sentence where bureaucracy remembered its spine, then the bank episode. Signature does not match specimen, the branch manager's memo, the tone note I added, for future me. Lilting, performative concern. I wrote the APS visit down too. How kind the social worker had been while politely measuring my reality, and how she left satisfied that Tuesday trash duty was not wandering off to Oz. When my hand cramped, I shook it out and kept going, because cramps are just your body's way of asking you whether you meant it. I did. I wrote about the cafe ambush, glitter, tote bag, marshmallows as foreign aid. I wrote about Henry's letter and the line that kept rearranging the furniture in my chest. Let the land remind you you're still good at things. Odd fact of the day: a single cow has 4 stomach compartments. Rumination is literal. Humans only get 1, so we do our rumination with pens. At 10, Samuel arrived with travel options printed like menus. 2 nights, he said. Flight into Billings, then a drive. We'll keep the reservation quiet. You can invite whomever you wish later, or no one at all. Your room at Maple Ridge remains yours until you release it. Release, I repeated, liking how the word opened and closed like a gate. We chose midweek flights, the kind that attract people who own sensible shoes. I signed nothing I hadn't read twice. Samuel never reached for a page I was already holding, which is how I collect my people now. Then I made 2 more calls. First, Dr. Maya Patel. I asked for an appointment, not to prove anything to anyone, but to lay down a fresh capacity evaluation like a runway, in case anyone tried to land a guardianship plane in my yard without clearance. Happy to, she said. We'll do a standard cognitive screen, functional assessment, and a letter for your file. Bring your list of meds and your reading glasses. I'm better at my job when you're better at yours. Academic phrase of the day: anticipatory governance. Building structure before the storm, not after. Courts respect foresight. Chaos finds it boring. Second, Lauren Cho. We expanded the Go Forth account, my word, not hers, to a tidy number that felt like oxygen but not parade confetti. We added a callback code that made me grin when I practiced saying it: Blue Thistle. If you ever hear an old woman at a bank counter say Blue Thistle in a normal sentence, please check for theater. 2-factor everywhere. Read-only portals for nosy relatives and small daily limits on the card, Lauren summarized. Freedom with bumpers. Like roller rink training wheels, I said. Fine by me. Rita popped in to tape a new quote to my door and found the notebook open, the bookings printout tucked beneath a paperweight that turned out to be my old hearing aid. Well, she said, hand on hip, Montana better have its hair brushed. It's getting a new mother, I said, and surprised myself with how right that felt. I packed the kind of bag you pack when you're interviewing a new life. Sensible walking shoes. The sweater that forgives the waistline. Henry's letter in a Ziploc because grief and weather both pretend to be moisture. My blue tin of essential papers masquerading as cookies. A small frame photo of me and Brooke at her 6th grade play. Because love is part of the luggage even when it's not invited to speak. Brooke texted at noon, lunch today? We can sign the stipend. Tyler found a capacity ally who can do a quick screening. The quotation marks around capacity ally did the work of 10 paragraphs. No, I typed. Medical with Dr. Patel next week, lunch next Friday, public place, 30 minutes. A boundary in 3 clauses. My English teacher would be proud. She replied, "You're being paranoid. We're calling APS." A screenshot followed. "We are concerned." The kind of message that tries to recruit strangers to a family play. I didn't take the bait because bait is not a food group. Hydration is still dignity, Rita said as she topped my water, then added, and so is not texting back when you could be packing. 3 jokes to keep the air liftable. If red flags had reward points, I'd have a free trip to Cabo, non-refundable. If tote bags came with warning labels, Brooks would read contents urgency. If For Your Sake were a ringtone, I'd switch to vibrate. By late afternoon, the Maple Ridge hallway had the faint smell of lemon cleaner and endings. I walked it anyway, saying goodbye to Ruth, crossword queen, to James, Walker tricked out with bicycle lights, to Janet, who isn't Janet here, because my Janet is Rita, but you get the archetype. People who built lives before you and are not done being interesting yet. I promised postcards to the ones who still believed in stamps. I promised pictures of calves to the ones who didn't. Before dinner, Samuel returned with one more folder. Travel authorization, medical file. Copies for you, Dr. Patel, and the trust binder, he said. Also, a short letter from Maple Ridge stating you're traveling by choice and under no medical duress. Not that you need it, but paper is cheaper than drama. Add that to the refrigerator, Magnet said, I said. Paper is cheaper than drama. We sat a moment with the window open to April, pretending to be May. You're sure? He asked, not like a gatekeeper, but like a man who knows some gates are heavy. I'm hungry, I said, and I'd like the next meal to have sky in it. He closed the folder, satisfied. Caleb will meet us at the airport. Nora says she's making stew. She asked whether you like carrots. I like verbs, I said. Carrots are a bonus. That night, I packed what was left to pack. I taped my lime green rules inside the blue tin. Read twice. Bring a friend. Narrate yourself. Blue thistle. No meetings without soup if tempers exceed simmer. I stuck a post-it on the mirror. You are still good at things in my pen, not Henry's. Borrowed encouragement is useful, but I wanted the muscle memory to be mine. Sleep came easily, the way it does when a decision has been lifted into the light and stopped groping under the bed. I woke before Rita's knock, showered, put on the sweater, and sat on the edge of the bed with my palms on my knees, the posture of 80 different kinds of waiting. Maple Ridge hummed its low song. Somewhere down the hall, a TV court show declared someone emphatically guilty of melodrama. I turned off the lamp and let the room be exactly what it had been. Kind, overlit, temporary. At the curb, Samuel haggled with the rideshare app like a man who prefers maps that fold. The car smelled like pine air freshener and last week's mysteries. I watched Maple Ridge recede in the side mirror until the building was just a geometry problem I didn't have to solve anymore. The airport did its airport things, shoes in trays, strangers performing their best behaviors in socks. I fished Henry's letter out to run my thumb along the paper's edge the way some people thumb worry stones. The TSA agent smiled at the blue tin and asked if there were cookies. I told him receipts, which made him laugh in the universally sleepy language of morning. At the gate, Samuel read the paper. I watched a child press sticky fingers against the window and narrate every plane like a plane had never happened before. The intercom called us by zones, as if life were an orderly boarding process. I don't mind being Zone 3. It gives the aisle time to remember it's an aisle and not an audition. We buckled. The flight attendants did their ritual with the belts and the oxygen masks, and I did mine with the notebook, writing a new heading, 7 Willows, First Look. My hand didn't shake. As the plane pushed back and engines roared a familiar confidence, I pressed my head to the window and watched the ground drift into abstraction. Parking lots becoming circuit boards, highways becoming calligraphy, Maple Ridge becoming a soft square without a name. I whispered a small thank you to the room that held me when I needed holding, and a hello to the gate that hadn't met me yet. Calm isn't compliance. Calm is a runway. We lifted. Billings met us with that western brightness that makes all the edges look freshly sharpened. The rental truck smelled like pine and past decisions. Samuel drove, content to let the windshield do most of the talking. An hour out, the highway unspooled into 2 faithful lanes and then one, and somewhere between a hayfield the color of toast and a sky attempting an encore, the sign appeared. 7 Willows Ranch. Letters carved like they meant it. We turned down a gravel lane that hummed under the tires like a low song. Wind braided itself through actual willows along a skinny creek, the leaves whispering in a language I hadn't heard in years. Ahead, a white house that knew how to square its shoulders against weather, a red calving barn with honest doors, corrals arranged like complete sentences. 2 people waited at the gate, Caleb in a sun-bleached cap, Nora with a smile that made welcome sound like a verb. Miss Morgan? Caleb's hand was calloused in the way that reassures you no one here hires their handshake out. I'm Caleb Dawson. Thanks for coming while we still have spring in stock. Ellie, I said, thank you for ordering good weather. Nora touched my arm as if taking my pulse for happiness. I put stew on, she said. Don't fight me. I've retired from fighting stew, I told her, which is the truest sentence I've said at a gate. They loaded my blue tin and small bag into a side-by-side and gave us the 3-minute orientation to how 2 decades of their lives fit together without creaking. We run a cow-calf operation, mostly Black Angus, Caleb said. Rotate pastures, keep water clean, fix fence before it complains. He tipped his chin toward the creek. Henry always said a ranch is only as proud as its water. Elder wisdom of the day. If a place is generous, it shows you its water first. We parked by the office, a square room with a map wall, 2 desks, a coffee maker, and books that looked touched, not staged. Nora handed me a mug, and Caleb slid a binder toward the sunlit end of the table. Started these for Henry years back, he said, almost apologetic. Paper is slower than software, but paper minds its manners. The tabs felt like a balm: herd inventory, pasture rotation, vet records, repairs, fuel, P&L. The numbers were clean in the way a kitchen can be clean without being sterile. Honest sums, margins that narrate seasons, no lipstick on pigs because there are no pigs. Samuel scanned with the practiced calm of a man who knows the difference between arithmetic and theater. Books match the trust ledger, he said. No surprises. We flipped to the inventory. Cow IDs, calves by year, ages like prayer beads. Nora pointed to a line. This cow's a wonder. Throws twins every other spring like it's her hobby. She found the photo on her phone before I could ask and showed me 2 muzzles sharing one idea about milk. My chest did that small, traitorous ache, the one reserved for good things you hadn't given yourself permission to want. Odd fact of the day, barbed wire, the cheap little genius that remade the West, got its patent in 1874. Every fence post we passed is a footnote in that story, and most of them look like they intend to keep the world stitched where it belongs. We toured. The tack room smelled like leather kept on good terms with saddle soap. The calving barn wore its work with pride. Clean straw, heat lamps coiled like sleeping suns, a whiteboard of due dates that treated each circle like a promise. Outside, wind leaned on the buildings like an old friend allowed to be honest. In the feed yard, Caleb whistled low and a half-dozen cows lifted their heads in a choreography that put conference rooms to shame. We move slow, he said. Cattle read your blood pressure. He tossed a flake of hay into the bunk. You don't boss them. You invite them. Academic phrase of the day. Management by exception. Deal with the outliers. Let the systems hum. Watching the Dawsons, I realized the ranch had been practicing that philosophy since before consultants learned to invoice for it. We drove fence lines, past splashes of blue bunch wheatgrass and muttering meadowlarks. Caleb narrated where the water ran in June, where it sulked in August, where last winter tore a strip of roof free like a page. Fixed it with baling wire and swears, he said cheerfully. Henry pretended not to approve. Then he mailed better screws. 3 jokes the wind didn't mind overhearing. If spreadsheets wore boots, these would have dust in the formulas. If stew were a legal doctrine, it would be binding and delicious. If Wynn had an HR department, Montana would be perpetually on probation. Back at the house, Nora insisted we sit at a table that knew what to do with elbows. The stew tasted like someone believed in vegetables. Fresh bread arrived, wearing butter like a medal. "You'll have your own cottage if you want it," she said between ladles. Henry kept it fixed up. 2 bedrooms, a porch that does sunsets on command. We freshened linens and put flowers on the table. If that's too much, we'll go back and pretend we never did it, and you can tell us how you'd have it instead. "I would have it exactly like that," I said, a little too quickly, and we all pretended not to hear the quick in it. After lunch, we walked the 100 yards to the cottage. White clapboard, blue door, windows that crudely framed the kind of view people put on postcards to feel more honest. Inside, a small sofa with personality, quilts that looked peer-reviewed, a kitchen that invited pie, a desk positioned where a person could do paper without losing track of the hill's mood. On the table, a mason jar of early wildflowers, yellow, purple, the kind that persist. I set the blue tin down and it made the sound tin makes when it recognizes being wanted. Above the desk hung a large plain calendar. Someone, Nora, I'd bet stew on it, had penciled "Welcome, Ellie" in the corner and drawn 1 willow leaf as if punctuation came botanical here. We tested doors and faucets and lights the way I test sentences. Gently, then with more insistence. Everything worked. Even the quiet. Especially the quiet. Samuel left us to it. "I'll be in the office if you need me," he said, which is adult for "I'm nearby," like a lighthouse that knows the schedule. Nora gave me a set of keys on a ring that had learned modesty. "We'll be around," she said. "We're always around. But we know how to make around feel not like hovering." When they stepped out, I sat at the little desk and opened my notebook to a new page. First sight. The pen did the work while my eyes did theirs. Creek, willows, barn roof, the slow choreography of a worker in the distance moving a gate with the kind of patience that keeps animals from breaking their own hearts. I practiced saying the name out loud to see if it fit in my mouth. 7 willows. It did. I practiced the alternate, home. It did that too, in a way that made the room expand by an inch. My phone buzzed. Not Brooke, small mercy, but Dr. Patel confirming next week's appointment and offering a quick tele-hello if I wanted to show off where I was. I sent a picture of the creek. She hearted it and wrote, "Good water. Good choices tend to live near good water. I liked a doctor who prescribed geography." As afternoon thinned into that long western gold, Caleb returned with a folder that wasn't quite paper-stuffed enough to scare anyone. "Just your house file," he said, laying it down. "Propane levels, last roof inspection, where the mice go when they get ideas, that kind of thing." He looked around the cottage, satisfied and a little shy. "We don't have many visitors who are owners," he admitted. "Only owners. It's nice." "It is," I said, and shook his hand a second time, because some handshakes deserve applause. On the porch, Nora joined us with 3 cups of something cold and citrusy that reconciled me to the concept of ice. The sun began its unrushed dissertation on leaving. A coyote yipped far off, unbothered by our paperwork. The willows did their green arithmetic. I said it then, the sentence that had been rehearsing itself all day. "It's possible," I whispered. "This could be possible." No one clapped. No one wrote it down. The ranch took the words like rain. The next mornings arranged themselves like polite guests. Early, useful, and a little shy. I woke to the creek, talking in its sleep, and a thin stripe of gold sewing the windows together. Nora met me with coffee and a list written in the round handwriting of people who can fix things. Gates, water, mineral, salt, ice. I learned that Order was not poetry, it was survival. We started with gates. If you open it, you're responsible for the consequences, Nora said, hand on the hinge as if it were an oath. Close it like you mean it. I practiced until the click sounded like confidence. Water next. Float valves. Ice in April doing its last party trick. Algae that would love an invitation if you weren't paying attention. Mineral and salt were easy if you remembered that bodies are maps. Even cows need directions. Ice was the hardest and the best. Head up, soft focus, look for the animal out of step with the music. Cattle tell the truth with their posture. People do too, but they've had more acting lessons. Elder wisdom of the day, competence returns in small cups. Let it. Odd fact of the day, willow bark carries salicin, a cousin to aspirin. This creek's edge is a pharmacy older than any of us. The trees lean in like gossiping aunts with good remedies. By mid-morning, I could tell the difference between a heifer that's merely dramatic and one that needs a hand. Caleb showed me how to coil a rope so it behaves when the moment asks for it. How to drive the side-by-side without apologizing to every rut, and how to read tracks like sentences. Deer, he'd nod, and 2 raccoons who failed to plan. We fixed a short run of fence a windstorm had opinionated about. I learned the smell of creosote on an old post and the way barbed wire hums if you test it gently, music you don't want on your skin. At noon, Samuel took his city suit for a walk into town, and I went with Nora to the feed store for mineral and gossip. The bell over the door played its note, and Mrs. Whittaker, who ran the counter with the benevolence of a librarian and the memory of an archivist, gave me the once over that small towns issue like passports. "You Henry's sister," she said, not a question. "You're the one who labels things?" "I aspire," I said. "Good," she said, ringing up a salt block like it was a sacrament. "Labels keep peace." She slid a paper across. "Volunteer fire pancake breakfast on Saturday. Bring an appetite and an opinion about syrup." "Opinions I have," I said, "about syrup and most things." Outside, the sky performed sincerity the way only Western sky can. I learned my boot size in this latitude, half up for socks with feelings, bought gloves that forgave my wrists, and chose a hat by how it handled wind, not compliments. 3 jokes to keep the air springy. If boots were relationships, mine promised arch support. If hat brims were boundaries, I finally found my circumference. If hardware stores had confessionals, the line would never end. The afternoon was a class in distributed cognition, though no one called it that. The place remembers what you forget. A colored zip tie on a gate means, "Don't you dare." A rock by the latch means, "Someone's here." A bucket in the wrong place means, "The intern is earnest but lost." My cottage developed its own logic. Flashlight by the back door, 2 spare batteries in a mason jar labeled, "Yes, now." A hook for the keys in a spot Nora could find with her eyes closed. The calendar over my desk began to gather verbs. Call Lauren, Dr. Patel 2's 2 p.m., blue thistle, practice, pancakes, Saturday. I FaceTimed Evan and Lily from the porch. "Name a calf," I said. Evan went serious. "Vector." Lily went purple. "Violet." We met in the middle and named a sturdy-looking heifer Violet Vector, which, if you squint, sounds like a ship that will not sink. They wanted barn cat updates. I introduced them to a great diplomat who clearly owned the yard and was auditioning me. "That's Chairman Meow," Evan proclaimed, which is the sort of joke you keep. Brooke texted once a link to an article about elder fraud, followed by, "We just worry, Mom." I replied with a picture of a float valve and the sentence, "I worry about water." I didn't send the second sentence. "I worry about the part of you that thinks worry equals ownership.
because I'm learning which words help and which just spill. Calm isn't compliance. Calm is a sieve. Dr. Patel's office called to confirm next week's evaluation, and I added a note for myself. Bring reading glasses, med list, humor. She'd send me a sample form to preview so I wouldn't feel ambushed by boxes. You'll do well, Nora assured, slicing apples with a knife that could double as a contract. Your brain talks like a ranch. It likes systems. We drove out to the east pasture near dusk, where the light decides its art. Caleb taught me the head count rhythm. Don't hunt for one missing. Find the pattern that explains her. She'll be behind the tamarisk, he said, and she was, working out her own argument with a thistle. We waited, and the waiting did its ordinary miracle. Back at the house, a pickup I didn't recognize rolled slow and stopped respectful distance short. A man about my age got out, hat in hands already. "Ma'am," he said. "Oliver Hughes. I run the volunteer fire. Heard Henry's sister made it in. Our siren's a text thread right now, but if you want the older alarms tested, we'll oblige. And if you've got a burn pile, tell us first. We like being invited." "We all do," I said. He smiled like I'd passed a small test and handed me a magnet with a station number and a calendar featuring dogs who appeared to have major opinions. "Saturday," he added, "pancakes. Even if you don't eat, sign the clipboard. It lets the county know we exist." We ate Nora's stew and listened to the Coyotes committee meeting take up the night beyond the creek. Later, with the porch light doing its quiet duty and the willows tracing shadows like language I almost remembered, I did the day's sacred paperwork. 3 lines in my notebook, no more. Gates obeyed. Water honest. Counted to the right number, then made soup. The blue tin on my desk held the IDs and the copies and Henry's letter, and now, tucked against it, a folded flyer for pancakes because life should make room for carbohydrates and neighbors. Odd fact on core, the western meadowlark, the state bird, sings a liquid phrase that sounds like someone practicing good news. One tuned up on a fence post while I brushed my teeth at the kitchen sink. I took that as a benediction and spat politely. Before sleep, I set my phone to Do Not Disturb, except for the people who know the callback code. I practiced Blue Thistle in a whisper until it felt like muscle, not theater. I put my boots by the door and my hand on the key for the cottage, then on the key for the gate, then on my own sternum. That key too. Academic phrase of the day. Soften for bedtime. Procedural memory. The way your body learns the dance steps until you can hum and still not step on toes. By the end of the week, I could open a gate, check a tank, scan a horizon, and make coffee without negotiating with any committee, internal or otherwise. 3 small jokes to leave under your pillow. If passwords burned calories, the Blue Thistle would replace Pilates. If pancake breakfasts elected leaders, Congress would smell better. If competence came in travel sizes, I'd keep one in my coat and one by the salt block. When the lights were out and the creek found its lullaby again, I thought of Henry's sentence, the one I had started to say back to myself in rooms that used to shrink. Let the land remind you, you're still good at things. It had, and it would, and tomorrow would ask more. I fell asleep, hearing willows applaud a wind only they could feel. The call came on a Tuesday that had the decency to be beautiful. I'd finished the morning Gates Water Mineral Salt Ice Loop and was labeling a coffee tin, "Are you tired or just bored?" when my phone buzzed with a number I knew too well. Brooke. "Mom," she began without weather, "we're done playing. Either you sign the power of attorney and come back to Maple Ridge, or I'm calling APS to report cognitive decline and financial vulnerability." Tyler already spoke to a guardianship attorney. I looked out at the willows calmly knitting the breeze. "Hi, honey. I'm going to answer in sentences, not threats." "You're not listening." "I am. I just don't rent out my steering wheel anymore." Silence sharpened. Then the classic, We're doing this for your sake.
Elder wisdom of the day. When someone says, for your sake, check the invoice. I have an appointment with Dr. Maya Patel at 2, I said. Standard evaluation, functional assessment, letter for my file. I'll email you a copy if you like notes more than rumors. She's your doctor, Brooke snapped. Biased. Biased toward accuracy, I said, as am I.
I ended the call before the Echo set up shop and texted Samuel and Lauren. Threats escalated. APS guardianship mentioned, proceeding with Dr. Patel at 2. After, let's do vendor notices and a boundary letter. Samuel replied with lawyerly sunlight. On it. We'll build rails, not walls. Lauren. Blue thistle ready. Odd fact of the day. Early willows drink so much water that 19th century towns planted them beside wells to mark the spot. Thirst recognizes thirst. At 2, Dr. Patel appeared on my screen, calm as a metronome, hair tucked, eyes that do not flinch. We began the dance. Orientation, attention, memory. She had me draw a clock, spell a word backward, remember 3 objects while counting by 7s, then switch to naming animals until my brain threatened to adopt a petting zoo. We walked through daily functions, meds, money, mobility, meals. Describe your safety plan, she said. Callback code Blue Thistle, read-only portals. Dual authorization for large transactions. Vendor notices on file. Written scripts for hot conversations. A cottage key that lives on a hook. And a community that knows my name and my gate. Good, she said, and meant it. I'll send a letter to your council by end of day and a copy to you. You're as oriented as this creek. Academic phrase of the day. Competence is task-specific. Being 72 may slow your sprint. It doesn't change who gets to sign your name. I set the tablet down and let my breathing unshrug. Then I called APS myself because sunlight is cheaper than rumor. Hi, I told the intake worker, warm and factual. My daughter may file a concern. Here's my location, my doctor's letter pending, my attorney's number, and my callback code. I invite a well-checked by appointment if you need one. Coffee on the porch is how we like our truth here. The worker, whose voice knew both policy and kindness, said, "Thank you for calling. If a report comes in, the file will reflect this. We prefer facts to performances." I liked her instantly. Samuel showed up at the cottage with the calm efficiency of a man who makes chaos chew before swallowing. 3 pieces, he said, laying papers on the table like cards for a friendly game we intend to win. 1. Vendor notice, utilities, bank, pharmacy, insurance, no third-party changes, log all attempts, call you with Blue Thistle. 2. Cease and desist to Brooke and Tyler. No impersonation, no interference, no disparagement to vendors or staff. All communication about finances through counsel. 3. Boundary letter. Terms for future contact that are clear, kind, and non-negotiable. We wrote the boundary letter together. I read it out loud to make sure it tasted like me. Brooke, I love you. I will see you, with joy, under these conditions. We meet by appointment, in a public place, or on the ranch with another adult present. No financial or legal topics unless counsel is present. No insults, no raising voices, no ambushes with documents or quick signatures. If you contact my vendors or doctors without my permission, we pause contact for 60 days. If you attempt guardianship without evidence, we pause for 90 days. I will share updates because I want to, not because I'm managed. If you want to help, bring soup, not paperwork. Love, Mom. Nora, reading over my shoulder, pointed to the soup line. That's policy, she said, approving. Then she added a PS in pencil. There will always be extra bowls. 3 jokes to keep lungs buoyant. If Boundary Letters had a bakery, ours would sell no thanks scones.
If APS awarded frequent caller miles for self-reports, I'd be halfway to Albuquerque. If, for your sake, were a cologne, it would smell like unsalted oatmeal. We printed the letters. Samuel emailed PDFs. Lauren toggled switches in an online console that might as well have been named No More Nonsense. She texted confirmations with the tidy glee of a woman whose spreadsheets purr, vendor locks live, read-only portals configured, alerts set to Blue Thistle, banknotes updated. I imagined Karen at the branch smiling from somewhere her professionalism allows. At 4:10 p.m., APS called. Efficient, courteous. We received a report. Would you like a scheduled visit tomorrow, 10 a.m.? Come, I said. Coffee. Bring the form that loves boxes. The next morning, Marisol from APS arrived with a clipboard and shoes you can trust. We sat on the porch. She asked her questions, the careful kind. I answered like a woman who does not outsource narrating. I showed the evaluation letter, the vendor notices, the trust abstract, its relevant page, the Blue Thistle on a card I'd laminated because I am that person now. She chatted with Nora, who introduced Violet Vector, the calf, with proper credentials. Caleb nodded from the fence line like punctuation. Marisol closed her clipboard. I'll mark this unfounded, she said. I see structure, community, and more self-advocacy than some of my trainings. She stood, then hesitated. And I see grief, too. Grief is a good teacher, I said. I'm late to class. She smiled. Well, you've caught up. She left us with a card that felt like a neighbor's number. At noon, Brooke's email landed, brittle with politeness. She rejected the boundary letter attached alternate terms and CC'd a pastor she thought might own my conscience. I declined the CC, replied with one sentence Samuel wrote, and I meant, my letter stands. Then I forwarded the thread to Samuel and closed my laptop because laptops do not get to colonize afternoons here. Odd fact, encore, newborn calves' teeth look like punctuation, tiny commas and periods figuring out what a paragraph is. Violet Vector gave me a close-up while we refilled her mother's water, and for once in weeks my body laughed without asking my head for permission. By evening we had a plan that felt like a quilt, multiple pieces, stitched in daylight. Lauren set alerts. Samuel queued filings in case Brooke tried the courthouse. Dr. Patel's letter slept in 3 folders, and my blue tin, APS, had met my porch. I texted Brooke exactly once. Pancake breakfast Saturday, 9 a.m., volunteer fire. If you want to come with the kids, we'll save seats. No paperwork, just syrup. She saw it. She did not reply. The door I'd cracked stayed exactly that, cracked. Academic encore. Strategic ambiguity belongs in diplomacy, not in families. So I chose clarity, softened by pie. Nora approved that policy too. We ended the day counting cattle in a wind that had opinions, but not malice. I practiced the head-up, soft focus scan until my neck remembered it without me. Caleb pointed with his chin at a heifer lingering. Pregnant and dramatic, he said. Give her space. She'll catch up when she remembers she's not the only story. 3 last jokes for bedtime. If laminated cards were a personality type, I'd be an ENFP LC. If my letter stands were a country song, I'd request it at karaoke and then immediately forget the mic was on. If boundaries were fences, ours got corner posts today. Before sleep, I wrote 3 lines in the notebook. Evaluation done, APS, drank coffee, and left with nothing to fix. My letter stands. I slid the blue tin a little closer on the desk, the way you scoot a lamp nearer to the place you'll read. Outside, the willows clapped for a breeze that had rehearsed all afternoon. Calm wasn't compliance. Calm was a fence line I could walk without tripping. The day after APS drank porch coffee and left with nothing to fix, I woke up ambitious in a quiet way, the kind of ambition that smells like paper and pencils. If yesterday was about fences, Today would be about foundations. I texted Lauren Cho 2 words, Legacy Day. She replied with a little construction hat emoji and a calendar link that felt like a door. We set up at the cottage table. Lauren on my laptop, Samuel at the ranch office, Nora passing by every so often with fruit like a benevolent audit.
"We're going to make it boring," Lauren said, which is her love language. "Boring will outlive drama."
First, the locks. Credit freezes at all 3 bureaus. PIN on my phone account, passphrases on email, 2-factor set to the hardware key I can clip to my keyring. Vendor notices already lived in the world. We added a post office box in town to catch any mail that forgot where I sleep. Samuel filed a trusted contact form on the investment accounts. If a broker ever smells smoke, they call Blue Thistle before any would-be narrator. Elder wisdom of the day. The checklist you actually use is kinder than the genius plan you only admire. We turn to accounts. Lauren proposed a small "Oh No" fund at a local bank in Billings for ranch surprises that don't deserve headlines. Pipes, roofs, raccoons with ambition. Name it something that makes you grin when you move money, she said. I christened it the Fix-It Pie Fund. I will not apologize. Odd fact of the day. 529 college plans are named after Section 529 of the Internal Revenue Code. They're as glamorous as lint and as useful as pockets. We opened one for Evan and one for Lily, funded them with a modest lump sum, and set a simple autopilot. Ownership, you, Lauren said. Beneficiaries, the kids. If Brooke refuses the gift later, you can retitle to another child or cousin. Money doesn't have to reward bad behavior to still serve good futures. I wrote each grandchild a note on lined paper. This is not pressure, it is permission. I told Evan the fund will pay for whatever makes his brain taller. I told Lily that purple is a valid major if it teaches her to make and keep promises. I tucked both notes into the blue tin for a day when timing isn't a weapon. Samuel slid in with trust mechanics. We'll add a simple amendment. Upon your death, a portion of the portfolio spills into 2 scholarship funds you control while living. He raised an eyebrow. Names?
"The Rita Gomez Ladder Fund," I said, surprising myself with how fast my mouth knew. For aides like Rita who want CNA to LPN to RN without losing rent. And the Henry Morgan Stewardship Scholarship for kids in Yellowstone County who want ag degrees and are willing to do summers at 7 Willows learning fence, water, and not lying to cattle. Caleb, who had wandered in for coffee and accuracy, said, "We'll make room," in the tone of a man rearranging gates because it's Tuesday. Academic phrase of the day. Asset liability matching. Pair long money with long promises. We timed distributions from the trust's safe, dull ladder of bonds to the scholarship's expected payouts. Semester by semester, no cliffhangers. Drama hates calendars, Lauren said, and I believed her. We drafted beneficiary designations while the light moved across the table like it owned the place. The ranch stays inside the trust while I breathe. After, it can either remain whole under Caleb and Nora with a board that includes 1 neighbor, 1 ranger from the watershed, and 1 student from the scholarship program, or be sold only to a conservation buyer who keeps the water honest and the willows employed. No private equity cow flipping, I said. Put it in ink. Samuel did, quirking a smile. We built my letter of instructions. Not law, but story. How to run the coffee maker without cursing, which quilt is the argument settler, where the extra batteries live, mason jar labeled yes, now. Who to call when the creek does that February thing, which fence line always thinks it's a poet. I added a page titled, If I Forget, Read This to Me, where I wrote future me a note that begins, You like cinnamon, and straightforward sentences. You don't sign anything you haven't read twice. You still laugh when Chairman Meow pretends he pays the electric bill. 3 jokes to keep lungs buoyant. If spreadsheets were livestock, Lauren just haltered one and taught it to sit. If trusts had dating profiles,
Mine would say, stable, hates drama, loves pancakes. If Blue Thistle were a gym class, I'd finally be consistent. We paused for soup because Nora enforces soup the way good judges enforce decorum. After, Samuel reviewed the cease and desist he'd sent Brooke and Tyler yesterday. No impersonation, no third-party wellness checks through vendors, no contacting Dr. Patel, except through counsel. He'd CC'd the guardianship attorney their pastor friend had recommended, which is a tidy way of saying, I see your stage and I prefer daylight. Any reply? I asked. Silence, he said, which for now is the correct size. I took the blue tin down, set it between us like a minor altar, and sorted the day's new pages. 529 confirmations, trustee amendment drafts, vendor acknowledgement stamped received. A one-page ranch safety plan I wrote in large print, so Panic never has to memorize it. On its bottom corner, I doodled a willow leaf. I have become the woman who doodles leaves on legal documents. Tell no one. Lauren asked for 5 minutes on intergenerational peace. Not forgiveness, she said gently. Peace. We wrote the contact terms again, smaller. Public places, no money talk without counsel, no more surprise papers slid across lattes. I added a standing invitation that will live or die by their choices. Volunteer fire pancake breakfast, first Saturdays. If you show up with no clipboard, your seat is saved. That's my olive branch. It has syrup on it. Dr. Patel pinged. Letter sent. I printed 3 copies, signed that I'd received them, and filed each where it belonged. Paper is a calmer memory than my excellent brain on a tired day. Odd fact, encore, most cattle ear tags use 134.2 kHz for RFID, a frequency that minds its manners around water and metals. We tagged 3 new calves in the afternoon, the beeps tiny, the records neat, the animals unimpressed. Matching little numbers to big lives felt like practice for the scholarships, for the accounts, for the names we protect with rituals that look like boredom. Near dusk, I walked the short lane to the cottage with Violet Vector trotting a parallel path on her side of the fence, as if we'd agreed to keep pace until we learned how to do it without comparing strides. I set 2 envelopes on my desk, Evan's and Lily's notes about their 529s, and wrote to be delivered when kindness won't be used as leverage. Then I tucked a 3rd envelope under Henry's letter, for Rita, with a short thank you and the first grant from the Ladder Fund once Samuel finishes the filing. Grief and gratitude use the same pen. 3 closing jokes for the notebook margin. If financial planning were a farm chore, today we mended fence before the cows got curious. If legacy had a smell, it's buttered paper and pencil shavings. If boredom were a superhero, it just saved Tuesday. The creek rehearsed its lullaby. The willows edited the wind. Nora's porch light clicked on like a punctuation mark, telling the paragraph to breathe. I wrote my 3 lines and put the pen down without the old tremor. Lock set, scholarship seated. The ranch and I signed each other's names in pencil. Erasable, but legible. Academic final note. Generativity. The sweet human compulsion to plant trees under whose shade we may never sit. Tonight I believed in the shade. I turned off the lamp. The blue tin glowed a little in the last light, like a quiet planet that had decided to stay. The Saturday pancake breakfast felt like a town deciding it was a family for 2 hours. Long tables, coffee that believed in itself, a griddle aria, and a clipboard that only wanted names, not narratives. I stood beside Nora, who wielded a spatula like policy. Caleb poured batter with a wrist that had solved more problems than most meetings. I was refilling syrup when the doorbell said a sentence I hadn't expected to hear this soon. Brooke? No Tote, no Tyler. Evan and Lily on either side like parentheses that make the middle gentler. Hi, Mom, she said, voice small from the echo of a high ceiling and a new humility.
We came for pancakes, not... Her hands fluttered, searching for a word she hadn't learned yet. Not paperwork.
Then you're in the right church, I said, handing Lily the ladle for blueberries. Evan wrote vector on the clipboard because forms should feel seen. We ate without choreography. The volunteer fire chief made jokes about syrup being the town's foreign policy. Mrs. Whitaker sold me a calendar with opinionated dogs. Lily presented a pancake that had somehow become a star, 3 points short but earnest. We carried our plates to a table by the window. I waited. Doors that want to stay open must open themselves. Brooke tried twice before the third attempt landed. I'm sorry, she said, no embellishments. I was afraid of losing you, so I tried to own you. She swallowed. That sentence looks even worse when it's spoken. Elder wisdom of the day. Apologies are invitations, not invoices. I'll accept your I'm sorry, I said, and I'll wait for the verbs that follow. She nodded. Verbs, then? I emailed APS, retracting my concern. I sent Dr. Patel an apology for the CC circus. I won't contact your vendors again. If I forget, you can show me my email back to me. I'll meet only in public places or on the porch. No more surprise papers. And here she looked at the kids. I'll bring soup instead of agendas. Nora, passing with a fresh stack, muttered, policy approved, and moved on. Allwood fact of the day. Maple syrup density is measured in degrees Brix. Too thin and it's just sweet water. Too thick and it crystallizes. Families have their own Brix. We had been thin, then brittle. Today was finally pourable. Conditions for contact stay, I said. Boundaries don't apologize, but they can smile. I folded my napkin. You're welcome here, not to manage it, to belong to it. Academic phrase of the day. Restorative practice. Repairing harm by naming it, owning it, and choosing a future that doesn't make the same shape of hurt. Evan asked if he could meet Violet Vector. Lily asked if the barn cat signed autographs. We walked down after dishes, past the engine bays to the bright morning that had decided it would be generous. At the fence, Caleb showed the kids how to stand like the wind had already forgiven them. Violet minded us with the mild disdain of a creature who understands billing cycles better than people think. Brooke kept her distance at first, then sidled closer the way you do with animals and regret. She's beautiful, she said, like the word hadn't been available to her for a while. She is, I said. So are boundaries. They look good on everyone. 3 jokes to let the room breathe. If apologies were pancakes, the first one's always a little weird. Eat it anyway. If boundaries were syrup, we finally found our Brix. If tote bags came with safety warnings, hers would now read for groceries only. Back on the porch, we sat with paper cups that didn't know they were participating in a treaty. Brooke described therapy she'd started on Thursdays, how her counselor differentiated fear from control, and showed her the Karpman triangle with a pencil that had run this lap before. I've been playing rescuer, then flipping to persecutor when I wasn't allowed to rescue, she said. It's ugly. It's human, I said, and we still choose different. She took out a phone and, God bless her, asked permission. Can I take a picture of you with the kids by the willow? For us, not for the internet. Yes, I said. The photo turned out soft and tilted, which is how beginnings look when you stop pretending they're endings. We didn't fix everything. Tyler texted a cooling flurry of sentences about rights and influence. Samuel handled those with the calm of a man who has seen every season and knows which storms you wait out. I didn't reopen money talk. Brooke didn't ask. The kids asked about pancakes next month. I said, first Saturday, and heard the door inside me move from cracked to propped. Not open all the way. Not shut. Correct. That evening, Dusk stitched the porch to the creek and asked for quiet approval. We gave it. Nora brought pie she swore wasn't a bribe. Caleb set a lantern like punctuation. Brooke stood to leave, then turned back. May I hug you under ranch rules? She asked, clear, consenting.
brief.
"You may," I said. "It was small and sufficient."
After they drove off, the willows applauded some wind only they could translate. I wrote 3 lines in the notebook. Pancakes instead of paperwork. Apology with verbs. Door, careful, open. I slid the blue tin closer, not as a shield now, but as a lamp. 3 final jokes for the ledger. If reconciliation had a dress code, ours would be flannel and good shoes. If soup were governance, we just passed a resolution. If porches gave degrees, tonight I earned an A in waiting without withering. The ranch breathed the way places do when they've met a new story and agreed to let it live here. I turned the porch light off and let the dark be a friend again. Let's slow down the film. Leave the plates on the table and let the fork rest where it fell. The creek is still going about its small, good business. The willows keep taking attendance in a language that sounds like patient laughter. The porch boards remember our weight and do not complain. What began under fluorescent bulbs with oatmeal, passing itself off as purpose, widened into sky and fence and the simple arithmetic of gates, water, mineral, salt, eyes. There were letters that rearranged furniture and file tabs that steadied hands. There were calls that tried to turn fear into law. And there were forms that preferred daylight to rumor. A doctor with unflinching eyes drew a clean circle around competence. A banker pressed blue thistle into the ledger like a seal. A lawyer stacked quiet rails where cliffs used to be, and boredom, good, durable boredom, did its overlooked miracles. There were pancakes, too, because communities need carbohydrates as much as codes. There was an apology that came with verbs and not invoices. There were children naming a calf, something impossible and right. We did not solve a decade in an afternoon. We signed, not with forgiveness as mortgage, but with peace as cash, small bills, paid when due. The ranch will keep teaching the curriculum that refuses performance. Move slow. Close what you open. Count without panic. Make soup when tempers exceed simmer. Let paper remember on the days your heart wants a nap. So when the room dims and the fan becomes its own river, imagine a porch where a lantern is more grammar than light. A cottage where a blue tin is no longer a shield but a map. A creek that declines to be dramatic. Here the willow leaves soften into something like applause. Let your breath lengthen until the day loosens. Nothing loud, nothing theatrical. Just a careful door, propped, in the long, kind hallway of tomorrow.